That's 200 yards with 110 grain. That ammunition that Noveski has, which I believe is running a Nosler. So 200 grains with the 110. A lot of times students ask, what zero, or do you run a different zero for 300 Blackout than what you do for 5.56? When I run 5.56, I run a 50-yard zero. A 50-yard zero is as equal to a 200-yard zero. However, weight of the bullet, bullet speed, and barrel length are going to differ. So your results vary just a little bit depending upon those other characteristics that you're bringing into play. But traditionally, I run a 50 to 200-yard zero. Now with 300 Blackout, it differs. And the reason why it differs for me is because I'm trying to run in zero on two separate rounds. One round that I like to fancy is a 110 grain Nosler that Noveski does. And that round, I really like it because of the bullet speed and the weight of the bullet. Everybody differs. This is merely what works best for me. The other round is obviously going to be a subsonic, which is going to be a 220 grain round by Noveski or most companies, and then Hornady does like a 190 subsonic. And the difference is which one do you zero for? Well, what I choose to do is I zero for both. So what that means is the subsonic round is going to always shoot lower than anything running typically supersonic. So what I do is just try to stay within the tradition of the 50-yard zero, which makes it simpler for me. I zero on the 110 grain at 50, but about this high, which is usually about 1.5 inches high above where I'm aiming at. What that does gives me a little bit more elevation. It's almost like a 33 meter Marine Corps zero in this case. You just don't get the results out at distance like you would if you were shooting 5.56. But with shooting subsonic, I'm bridging the gap, so I'm usually 2 inches low at 50 shooting subsonic. So what that basically means is this: if I hold my dot on the center of a human head at 50, I'm either 1.5 inches to max 2 inches high, or I'm running subsonic, which I'm shooting 2 inches low, which is completely acceptable for a headshot. And we always look at the human head because it's always peeking over things, over rocks, over the hood of a car, around an object, in and around covering concealment. The head is the one thing that we typically always see, especially if there's an engagement and somebody's shooting at us. Whether we see the body or not, we may not. So I'm always looking at trying to parallel that round with the optic for as long as possible. So with that, what we're doing is you're taking a 110 grain round, which now has the ability to shoot. Definitely 300 is going to be a little challenging, but you can still do it. 200, I'm already aiming at the head. And here's where that kind of comes into play. If I shoot 5.56 at 300 yards, you know where I hold? I hold the head. And if I shoot 300 Blackout now at 200 yards, I hold the head. And then if I shoot 150, 100, or 50, I don't worry about it. That's an easy hit all day long. Up close and personal, I still have the normal height overboard to contend with. If I'm running subsonic, then I have height overboard that I have to contend with from my normal ranges all the way out to 25 yards. Out at 50 yards, I'm hanging a little low, so I'm about 2 inches low. At 100, I'll start to favor that neckline area for a good 100-yard shot. And then I'd hold on the head if I had to do 150, or if I have to press 200, I'd have to actually have a gap in between my target. So knowing your holds is extremely important when running 300 Blackout and choosing what zero is going to work best for you. For me, it's zero on 110 grain ammo, or my fastest round slightly high, which then allows me to squeak by on subsonic when I'm doing any other type of engagement.